The conflict?
A romantic relationship with a coworker who is your subordinate?
This week's episode focused on the romantic relationships of Landman Season 2, with significant developments for each of the show's couples. Nearly every member of the Landman cast is involved in a love relationship of some type, and although these relationships typically take a backseat to the show, this week's episode put them front and center. This week, Landman's business side, from the offshore gas rig to Cami and Gallino's relationship, took a vacation. Even though the commercial aspect of the tale may not have advanced as much in Landman Season 2, Episode 7, there were still many significant developments that merit closer examination. Important personalities saw significant transformations as a result of some of the events this week, others might result in future disputes and altercations. Let's just say that it's critical to understand why these interactions are becoming more intense. Rebecca and Charlie, Landman's newest romantic couple, also received a significant update this week. In Landman Season 2, Episode 6, Rebecca stayed at Charlie's camper, and Nate discovered she was having an affair with him after phoning Charlie rather than Charles. Then, in order to inform MTex's leadership that Rebecca had a sexual relationship with a subordinate, Nate made her sign a conflict form. Rebecca was furious that she had to sign the conflict form, which was a formal declaration that she had slept with one of her co-workers in violation of company rules. This might still have a significant effect on Landman even though Tommy told her she wouldn't be fired for it. Tommy suggested that Nate think twice before sharing Rebecca's personal problems, and he could be right. Nate's dispute form may easily be interpreted by Rebecca as an assault. Nobody wants Rebecca to be an enemy, as Tommy pointed out, and she might choose to take revenge on Nate as a result. Her relationship with Charlie is going on an official professional record, even if she isn't dismissed. And the most significant aspect of Rebecca's life is her profession. Before Landman Season 2 ends, Nate and Rebecca might go to war. In Episode 7, there was a significant advancement in the restoration of the offshore natural gas rig, despite the lack of emphasis on MTex's business side. After giving Rebecca a thorough description of the offshore rig's geology, Charlie concluded that there was only a 10% chance the rig would continue to generate gas once it was operational. MTex is taking a significant risk on the rig at $420 million. Charlie also concluded that a variety of factors could have contributed to the blowout at the rig instead of the hurricane. Of further geological issues. Then Nate realized that was Monty's plan all along. He collected the insurance money and believed he had a greater chance of winning in court than reconstructing the offshore rig because he knew the rig was a hazardous proposition. Instead of moving forward with the rebuilding process, Nate and Rebecca have now chosen to follow Monty's example and begin litigating the insurance fraud case. But before they can accomplish that, they must first explain everything to Tommy and, above all, persuade Cami to support the idea. But Cami appears determined to use Gallino's funds to complete the rig's reconstruction, so that might be easier said than done. Nate, Rebecca, and Tommy might encounter resistance from Gallino even if they manage to persuade Cami to file a lawsuit rather than rebuild. He has been openly desperate to enter the oil industry through Tommy, and this offshore rig is his ticket to MTex. Gallino might exert every effort to persuade Cami to construct the offshore effectively, setting up a major battle for the MTex players in the near future of Landman Season 2. Tommy was at the center of one of the most significant developments that began in Landman Season 2, Episode 7. Tommy's father informed him when he was traveling with TL that he was squandering his life by always moving from one issue to another without pausing to appreciate what he had. Tommy later told Angela that he was going to start enjoying life and make sure she understood how much he loved her, demonstrating that he truly took TL's counsel to heart. There could be significant ramifications for Landman Season 2 if Tommy decides to follow TL's advice and try to avoid wasting his life like his father did. It's highly likely that his connection with Angela will improve. However, Tommy might even begin to neglect all of his duties at MTex in order to spend more time with his family. Tommy doesn't seem to have much time left after MTex's president left, so it would be ideal timing. In Landman Season 2, Episode 7, Cooper finally had the opportunity to pop the question to Ariana following a slew of tests and obstacles. Before he could pop the question, Cooper had to drive to Corpus Christi to secure Ariana's father's approval, fight to get back into her home after being expelled, and pass a test given by LVO's grandma. Cooper ultimately carried out the deed after passing all those tests and receiving Angela's engagement ring. Cooper proposed by making a rose petal trail to the back porch, as demonstrated in Landman Season 2, Episode 7. Upon Ariana's arrival, he informed her that, forever will be over before you know it, so we better not waste a moment of it. Their earlier discussion, Ariana's statement that the wedding isn't the most significant aspect of a marriage could potentially mean that Cooper and Ariana will tie the knot before Landman Season 2 concludes. Ben and Russ are awakened at MTex's employee quarters by the noise of their Mexican co-workers having fun in their own vehicles. They understand that if they don't go out on the streets before the Mexicans, they would be stuck in traffic due to the large number of vehicles. Ben and Russ are heading where? To celebrate his bonus payout, Boss has organized a barbecue party, so the Mexicans aren't the only ones having a good time. Here, we learn that Jarrell has reportedly been released from the hospital, but there is still much to learn about his vision, which was impaired by the H2S leak. Later on, Dale joins them all as well. Prior to enjoying the delectable meal, he presents Boss with a Rolex Daytona Panda in honor of 20 years of arduous labor at MTex. In some way, this causes Boss to become very depressed, and he begins to recall all of the near-death situations he has had while working here. It appears like Boss had already made the decision to retire shortly, but it is during this celebration that he finally tells his friends and former co-workers that he will be leaving MTex and Midlands by the following summer. Therefore, anyone who wants to catch up with him will have to travel to Houston. When discussing the ethos of working in the oil industry, Tommy's viewpoint is fairly similar to Dale's, who stated that one should always make the most of it and then leave rather than spend their entire lives in this circus. Boss asks Dale when he plans to retire as a result. According to Dale, this work is no longer a job for him, it's a sweet addiction that he will never be able to kick in this lifetime. All of this seems to be subtly hinting at some deaths at an oil rig. I'm not sure about you. I mean, compared to Season 1, there haven't been many fatal accidents in Landman Season 2's 7th episode. As a result, I believe the authors are setting us up for a tragic fiasco that might or might not result in the deaths of Boss, who wants to leave this industry, and Dale, who wants to perish in it. Rebecca and Charlie start talking about the offshore gas drilling mission after some post-coitus flirtation. Rebecca requests that Charlie speak with Tommy, Cami, and the other board members to inform them of the risks involved and how the project can proceed. Charlie also states something unexpected. He can explain to his superiors how the drilling can be completed, but he cannot guarantee that the rig will produce any gas. Rebecca is perplexed since she believes that Hurricane Francine is to blame for the rig's damage and cessation of gas production. However, Charlie accurately notes that a storm remains on the surface and cannot impact the reservoir because it is located beneath the seabed. Therefore, it's probable that the hurricane was blamed for the disaster when it became clear that the rig was constructed on a location with very little probability of producing high-quality gas. Monty might have believed he could get away with it and receive the insurance benefit. However, MTex is in a difficult situation because Blanton and his business have hired attorneys. Now, MTex's already enormous debt will only increase if they spend $400 million drilling in an area that offers nothing. Charlie claims he can give it his all. Charlie correctly points out, though, that a storm stays on the top and cannot affect the reservoir because it is below the bottom. Therefore, when it became evident that the rig was built on a site with very limited chance of producing high-quality gas, it is likely that the hurricane was held responsible for the catastrophe. It's possible that Monty thought he could get away with it and still obtain the insurance benefit. However, Blanton and his company have engaged lawyers, which puts MTex in a challenging position. Now, if MTex spends $400 million drilling in an unproductive area, their already massive debt will further grow. Charlie says he is capable of giving it his best. Thanks for watching. For more updates, stay tuned and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, please.